Effectiveness and excellence. What's the difference between a Sunday school teacher, a Bible study leader, or a pastor who's good and one who's excellent and effective? I believe it comes down to practical applications. In other words, if somebody's doing a Bible study, they give you good information, that's fine, it's interesting, it's intriguing, but so what? Meaning, what do we do with this? I'm going to give you two practical questions that if you've got guts, if you are bold, you will ask these two questions to people around you. But here's the thing, if you really want to know the answer, okay, because we all have blind spots, we all have areas that we need others to point out. And if you're being very bold, you have to give somebody the two questions in advance. Let them think about it and circle back around. If you have kids, you got to kind of work it out sometimes, but eventually some people will tell you not just what you want to hear, come on, but what you need to hear. What are the two questions? I'm a visual learner, so I'll put this on the screen, but I'll hold it up as well. What's something I do that you wish I would do less of or stop doing altogether? That's really not an easy question to ask because people will tell you if you give it in advance and you work it out of them. Number two, what's something you wish I would do more often? There's a dad I just saw at church yesterday. I was sharing at a deacons retreat these two questions to deacons, saying, hey, this is great the way you serve in the church, but there's a way you can serve better in your home. And this one man said he asked his 10-year-old son what he should stop doing. And the son said, I wish you wouldn't tease me in front of my friends. And the dad said, George, it really kind of threw me for a loop. I don't even know what he's talking about. He said, but apparently one time I kind of made a joke about my son in front of his friends and it really bothered him. And so I'll be sure in the future not to do that again. The dad said, again, 10-year-old son, what do you wish I did more of? And the son said, play golf with me more often. Do you realize that son just gave the dad a layup? He's saying, don't do this, please, and do that. A lot of times I have to be in the right mindset. I have to be in a good headspace to do this. But every couple of years, I'll ask each one of my kids. And I got to tell you, my wife, Jill, it's easier to ask my children these questions than my wife. And she tends to go pretty easy on me. But sometimes she'll tell me a hard truth that makes a difference. It's something that can practically make a difference in our life, in our marriage, in our home. This is something we always have to be growing as a Christian. We can't stop in our faith. We advance in our faith. We want to be excellent. We want to be effective in all these different relationships that we have. Here's something else I want to challenge you to do along these lines. If you're asking another person, what's something I do you wish I didn't do? If they point out a wrong that you've done, here's something very powerful, especially for parents, to say, I was wrong. I'm sorry, please forgive me. How many of us want our children to be quick to ask for forgiveness? Well, of course we do. Well, then why don't we model that for them? Here's the thing. When I give people this challenge, people all the time will say, okay, I will ask my kids for forgiveness when I do something wrong, and then we report back the next week. And almost every single time, the person will say, I did something, I asked my child for forgiveness, but I followed up with a but or a however. In other words, I'm sorry I snapped at you the other night, but you shouldn't have done what you did. No conditions. How many of us like a politician who says I was wrong, but then they go on to basically say, I really wasn't wrong, okay? So those two questions, ask people around you. If you want to be extra stretched, ask people that work for you, ask people who work with you, ask children, ask your spouse, ask your significant other. You go around and it's pretty interesting. Look, we call this sanctification. Justification, a big word to me, and here's when I was saved. Sanctification means the Christian life. We're becoming more and more conformed to the image of Christ. Then glorification means when we go on to glory. It's between the J, justification, and the G, glorification, this S in between. We're becoming more like Christ. How do we do that? We have people who love us well enough to tell us things that we need to know. 2 questions this summer. That's great to do. Tell me some of the responses that you get from other people that are kind of hard to hear, but you need to hear. Jesus said, for those who have ears to hear, let them hear.